Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This one is a daily race strategy guide. After last week's race not being very strategic, we are back with, in my opinion anyway, something a little bit more interesting. So it's Group 3 cars at Suzuka. 10 laps, fuel at times 3, tyre wear at times 7, and the only tyre available is the Racing Hard. So no tyre requirement for this one. So the car we have picked to do this is the 2017 Lexus. We used this car for the FIA race at the same circuit, only quite different settings because we had the choice of the soft, medium and hard tyre for that one. But just a hard tyre for this race. We've got the fuel up on the screen. We're going to just stay on board for the entire lap here, so you'll get able to see how the fuel is looking as the lap goes on. So yep, Group 3 at Suzuka, 10 laps and tyre wear just at times 7. So that suggested to me pretty much straight away that the no stop was going to be quite a strong option. But Suzuka is a tyre muncher, so even on hard tyres with low tyre wear multiplier, we can still see some quite high tyre wear, but we shall find out as this stint goes on. Back to the fuel, you can see we're about halfway through the lap. The fuel's sitting at 12 laps remaining. We've only used 5%, so no issues on the fuel in this one for the Lexus at least, and I don't think it should be much of an issue for the majority of Group 3 cars out there. So it looks like fuel is not a worry for this one. So yeah, the non-stop strategy here. We're starting to get a little bit of tyre wear starting to show up on the rear tyres just as we come to the end of lap 1. But yeah, if we can just keep the lap times consistent, look after the tyres, we should be able to get 10 laps out of the hard tyres without too much of a problem. So we approach 130R, got to give it a little bit of a lift here. We actually missed the apex. Don't carry a great deal of speed through there. We can, on the fresh tyres when they're brand new, you should be able to carry through about 139, 140 miles an hour through 130R, but we're down to 135 there. Then we have a little bit of a moment coming out of the chicane. So not a ideal opening lap, but there we go. Again, we'll finish that lap there. The fuel's sitting at 10.5. We've only got 9 laps to go. Just confirms we don't have any fuel concerns. Then we're going to jump all the way forward to midway through lap 8. We're doing the non-stop here. We don't have to worry about fuel. We've just got to try and keep the tyres in reasonable shape. That's really the only strategy for this run anyway. So you can see we are starting to suffer a little bit of tyre wear, but the lap times right through from 2 to 7 all within about half a second of each other, so quite consistent. But we get the first little sign that the tyres are starting to go as we come into 130R. We run wide. I just caught out a little bit with the tyre wear. They tried to add just a little bit too much of them. So a little bit of a warning shot there that we are starting to lose performance on the tyres, and that mistake's probably cost us at least half a second there, and that's going to be the story of the non-stop. As these last 3 laps the car just starts to get a little bit leery. The tyre wear can just start to catch you out. So if you're doing this strategy, just be aware of that. The last few laps seem to be the ones to watch as the tyres start to give up a little bit of performance. So we'll move forward to the end of the run. You can see we have actually catching an AI car here as we come into 130R. Cost us a little bit of time. We have to go through the other slow, but not too much, probably about half a second. cost there by the AI car getting in our way, just at 130R. But we approach the finish line to complete the non-stop run. Tyres not in terrible shape, but we have lost the optimal performance for those last few laps at least. So the finishing time there, 20 minutes 30.1. Obviously a mistake there on lap 8 and the AI car compromising us in the last lap. So at the very least about a second to 1.5 seconds to be found on that run. So moving on to trying a pit stop run. Obviously it's just the hard tyres that are available, so it's just going to be a hard tyre onto the hard tyre. So we've done this run immediately after the non-stop. I always like to try and do what I think is going to be the slower strategy second, as I should be a bit more tuned in with the car and the track, and maybe just a little bit faster. But on this occasion, at this point on the track, we are within about half a second of the non-stop run. Lap times very similar to what we were doing. So as we peel off into the pits here, and we flipped with danger with that barrier to the left hand side there, but we get away with it. So into the pits we come. And out we go. Reasonably quick pit stop. We hit the limiter there, so that's not helped our case, but the loss of a pit stop is approximately about 6 seconds, possibly just a little bit more. So out we come into the S's. Fantastic piece of track. I have to say though, Suzuka, not one of my favourite tracks, not one of my most competitive tracks, but certainly a fan favourite amongst many people. So we are safely out the pits. We've got a set of fresh tyres. Let's see what we can do with them to try and close down that gap to the non-stop run. So you can see we have found some lap time. We're in comfortably in the 201s, but the laps 7 and 8 there could have been better. The optimal lap suggestion, we can do a 201 flat. Eventually on lap 9 we do actually get a half reasonable lap in, but it's a case of I think I was pushing just a little bit too hard and just making small mistakes, and that's culminated in a little bit of a track cut into the first Degnan. I picked up a half-second penalty, which is going to add a second onto our finishing time when we get there. So out of spin we come on the long straight on the approach to 130R. And I knew at this point it was going to be reasonably close in terms of finishing time with the non-stop run, especially with the non-stop run having had that little mistake and had been held up by the AI car. But no such worries with the AI car in this one. We don't sort of do the final chicane there particularly well. Lose a little bit of time there, but we nicely by the AI car nicely. It did not cost us any time, but it's a fairly poor finishing lap time as well. That should have been at least a mid 21. So the finishing time there 20 minutes 30 seconds 0.9, but there's been a second added on to that, so that would have been a 29.9, which was actually faster than the non-stop run. But when we sort of take everything into consideration, that penalty and the mistake made on the non-stop run and being held up by the AI car, the finishing time's very, very similar. Actually within half a second of each other. So in terms of getting round the track, the non-stop and the one-stop seem to be quite comparable. But I think the majority of people will go for the non-stop in this one. And if you try and do a pit stop run, obviously you're going to encounter some traffic which is going to hold you up along the way. So the non-stop would appear to be the quicker way to complete this one. But it's good to see that the one-stop can be reasonably competitive, and if you happen to be in a car that can't make the tyres last, or you have a driving style that doesn't make the tyres last, then at least you know the one-stop can kind of work, but you are going to have to make your way through some traffic, which is never easy at Suzuka. Despite the decent straights on it, it's quite a hard track to overtake on. And you also have to face the dirty air and the S's, which can again make the car quite difficult to handle. So we used the Lexus for this one. It seems to be a reasonably solid car, but definitely not the quickest. I think you'll see a lot of Porsches and AMGs, as we always do in Group 3 races for this one. And I think they're both going to be very strong on the non-stop run. They'll have better tyre wear than the Lexus. The AMG in particular, for an FR car, very, very strong on tyre wear compared to a lot of the other cars. Another car you might see a bit of, because I think it will pop up on the leaderboards quite early. When it comes to sort of qualifying or time trial, and the Audi R8 is extremely quick round this track. However, I did set up a race with similar settings, sorry, not similar settings, the exact settings for what we're going to have for the daily race on Monday, and the Audi is a real handful on the hard tyres. Back end wants to step out a lot, even when you've got the brake balance all the way to the front. I was actually really struggling to get a lap done without bidding it. So I would think you might see quite a few Audis because it'll be high up on the leaderboard. If somebody can do a non-stop in the Audi and keep the lap times competitive, then all power to them. They're a far superior driver to me. But I think trying to do the non-stop in the Audi is just asking for death. Probably, if you've got a good handle on the car, it should be pretty good doing a one-stopper with it. But I think for the race, your Porsches and your AMGs are going to be the better cars, far more stable. Able to, once the sort of tyres start wheeling out on those cars, they won't become particularly tricky to drive. You just you lose a little bit of traction, a little bit of turning, but it's much easier to handle than the back end sliding all over the place, which will be the case with the Audi as the tyres start to wear. So that's my thoughts for that one. In conclusion, both the one-stop and the non-stop seem very, very comparable in terms of finishing time, but the non-stop is going to be the optimal strategy, just due to not having to deal with that traffic. So could be an interesting race, a good one to sort of maybe start practicing your tyre management, so you can be competitive over the last few laps, because that's where all the fun and games are going to come, those last few laps as the tyres start to go and people start to struggle. That's where I can see some interesting action happening. Hopefully the races will not be spoiled too much by the fact the penalty system appears to have gone AWOL. Hopefully drivers will keep it respectable and we can have some good racing, because it seems to be quite an interesting combination. So that's my thoughts for that one. I'm just going to wrap the video up there. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate the views and I appreciate the comments and I appreciate the subscribes. So thank you very much, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.